Thing at all that's on your record.
Shalom, shalom. To the householders of this faith, this is the book of Jude, verse 24. Now to him that is able to keep you from falling and to present you faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy, to the only wise power, our Savior, the glory, majesty, dominion, and power, both now and ever, so be it. Giving all praises, all honor, all glory to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Wakaha Wadash. Double honor, the white teachers, the apostles, the elders, and the bishops of Great Millstone, who watch over our souls. Shalom to the Yakim who are wedded are sincere and serious doing the will of Yahweh. Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Wakaha Wadash. 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 1 and 2 to you all. Stay strong, stay mighty. With the Holy Spirit from us, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Brother, the disciple Pushab Bunyamin, from the branching Great Millstone of Barbados. Yeah, the talk of the tongue is the digital ID, yeah? So I can play this video here. And let me see what the Spirit take me from here.
GB News sources understand that every adult in Britain will require a new government-issued digital ID under plans set out, which will be set out by Sir Keir Starmer later today in a bid, he says, to tackle illegal migration. Let's get the take of GB News contributor Neil Oliver.
This ain't only about illegal migration. That's smoke and mirrors. Right? The main thing is total control. All right?
Neil, you've been talking about this for a very long time, as have I, at least 5 years. There was a terrible inevitability about it, but I always hoped this day would not come, actually. What do you say on a day like this, on an eve like this, when Starmer's going to introduce this tomorrow?
I honestly think we've got them, Bev. I feel uncharacteristically optimistic about it. I've been, desperately furious about the concept of a digital ID card for a long time, and I've been anxious about the possibility of somebody actually daring to bring one forward. But here it is, and I genuinely think that there's enough awareness, more than enough awareness out there in the general population. I sense that there's going to be mass refusal, mass non-compliance. I think this government has rolled the dice, with instructions from on high. I believe the likes of Keir Starmer and his ilk.
Right, instructions from on high. That's the elites. Now, there was a video I was watching, because you hear the man say there's going to be mass. He was the road protest, but it can be mass people going against it, right? And they did watch a video about that. Long way they can find it and play it, right? But let me continue here.
Are just factotums. They've had to roll the dice on this, and it's going to be a disaster for them, and will probably conceivably be what brings them down.
We're going to be, just in a moment, I'm going to talk to Peter Edwards, who's in the studio in London, who doesn't have such a strong opinion on the negatives of this, as you might do, and myself as well. So just explain to the absolute layman, because these conversations are going to have to take place now, why this is problematic. And if you can, Neil, do it in terms of the real practicalities rather than the ideology of it.
It's the way in which it brings everything together, all of the information about us, everything from health, everything about your finances, anything that you can think of that's out there in the digital sphere is brought together by this kind of platform. And everything can be used in real time to make judgments about you, about what you propose to do. It can
to make judgments about you. So if they don't want you to buy XYZ item, you're gonna get it, because they can shut it down right there. Right? The world is about to enter into a totalitarian society, brother.
reference things that you've said in the past, done in the past.
So they're gonna be recording you too, reference things you say in the past. Quick, so the police show up at your door. Well, you said this on Facebook. You said this. You said that. And carry you lock you up, big man.
It can use anything at all that's on your record. It can relate to protests maybe that you've attended, to things that you've said, to posts that you've made on social media, to your financial status. And in real time, decisions can be made about whether or not you get permission to do whatever it is that you want to do next.
You hear that? Whether or not you get permission to do what it is you want to do. What is that? We are headed into a totalitarian society. What did Klaus Schwab say? You will own nothing and be happy. You understand? They will get to control all your decisions, man. You understand?
Put fuel in your car, buy a plane ticket,
See?
buy a steak in
See?
a supermarket, buy
See?
a bottle of wine.
See?
Whatever it is that you want to do, a decision can be made in advance, because what is happening here with digital ID is effectively you are being replaced with an avatar of yourself. If you imagine one of those little pieces that you move about a Monopoly board that sort of represents you on the board, well, they have you in that digital ID.
Exactly.
And
Woo!
they can decide whether or not you get to move on the board. And your hands are effectively tied behind your back.
So hey, so they want total control. So you're going to be their slave. Like the others were saying in Dallas, sit down they did, big man. You take this ID, brother. Don't think you can get away scot-free. 1 Thessalonians 5:1. For when they shall save peace and safety. Because you can feel that you can be in a more comfortable position. Right? So you take this, you sell out, you put this digital all inside of you and make Esau your God, right? He can maneuver you how he wants to maneuver you or don't maneuver you. And then quick, so bam, you still get destroyed.
Anybody that submits to this, anybody that accepts a digital ID is slapping handcuffs around their own wrists.
Jeez,
It's the end of freedom. It's the end of choice. It's the worst possible decision that any freedom-loving person could possibly make. But as I say, I was pessimistic about it for a while. I'm not anymore.
Hey, listen, the scripture says in Revelation 13 verse 1, and the whole world wandered after the beast. So a lot of people will run and take this charagma, big man, because they are infatuated with the whore. Revelation 17, right? John saw this whore, man. She looks good, and he saw everybody running after this whore, brother, because she looked good. So they want a piece of the whore. So AKA, a lot of people in this world, they will bow to this system. They will bow to this system.
We've got them on this. We have them surrounded. Their arguments don't stack up. None of the reasons that they've put forward for doing this make any kind of sense. The very idea that this is going to tackle the people arriving by boats on the shores of the British Isles is absolute nonsense. It was never supposed to do that. The appetite, the desire to bring forward the digital ID was there years ago. And it was understood by the people that wanted to bring it forward that the British people would not accept it. So problems had to be fomented to make people desperate to accept this as a solution.
Hey, and the same thing getting ready to happen here. There's the free movement, CARICOM free movement, where in the Caribbean, I did a video last week, people from Belize, Dominica, St. Vincent, and it give me more. They could leave their country, Ghana as well. They can leave their country, come over here, right? You can get work, but in order for you to get the work, you have to get the digital ID that is already implemented in Barbados. It is called the Trident Digital ID Card. You understand that? So the same thing is going to happen here eventually, big man. All right.
Hence the opening up of the borders and the mass immigration onto these shores that has...
The mass immigration in the Caribbean. The same thing can happen, big man. Furthermore, the St. Vincent, Belize, etc., they are also taking part in a digital ID program, big man. Guyana one should be rolling out, I think this week, big man. Right? So look, these men on our way, bro. These men on our way, big man.
Stoked division, has stoked fear, and the hope has been that people would accept the digital ID as this solution to the problem, but it's entirely bogus. Yeah. All people have to do is not comply, and this thing falls flat on its face, and I am convinced that is what's going to happen.
I don't know, I like to think that I obviously don't like it. I've made that really clear, but I don't know whether there are enough people who are alert to the potential pitfalls of this, because as we know, Jimmy News is pretty much the only outlet that will give two sides to this story. Let's stay with me, Neil, just for a second. Hello, I'm Bev Turner. Now, it can feel like the money in our bank accounts at the moment does not keep up with the cost of living, and maybe there's a solution. I'm here today.
All right, wait a minute. Now, let me see if I can find the one that I was looking at this morning, right?
Alan Miller earlier today about digital ID. Here's what he had to say. Now, we know that a lot of you at home are concerned about the concept of digital ID and a big government being able to look into the minutiae of your lives. We had the news yesterday that support for digital ID has collapsed. It's gone down from about 35% of the British public to minus 14%. And one man who can take some credit for that nudging of the particular dial is Alan Miller from Together, and he joins me now. Alan, first of all, your reaction to that news that support for digital ID has gone through the floor?
Well, it's fantastic to see the great British public coming out and having their voices heard. It's also very interesting to see that across the political arena, from what they call the left to the centre and the right, there's unanimity in this. The idea that we have a biometric surveillance state constantly censoring, constantly surveying and monitoring the public. The British public do not want this. So it's fantastic to see that. But at the same time, we know that the people that are in power are quite determined to make sure this happens in an array of ways. So we have to stay very vigilant together.
You hear that? People in power, that's the 1%. That's the elites, brother. They are determined to make this happen. So watch and see what happen these months, big man. They're gonna Revelation 13 and 16. And he causeth all. Whether it be through catering to your needs, right? Or whether you be forced in that position, right? And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, right? And that no man might buy or sell, no man, no individual, that no man might buy or sell, say if he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. You have to show that you belong to them. To take part in their society, you have to bear their sign. Anyhow.
You have been a big part of a lot of what I would call the guerrilla marketing. Actually, you were at the Liverpool conference, the Labour conference, weren't you, up north? And tell us what you did there, because we saw some phenomenal, eye-catching stunts, basically.
Yeah, so we were at Labour Party conference, and Together Declaration, we had a series of projections that had images of Keir Starmer as Big Brother and George Orwell's famous book with notes of digital ID projected in lots of places like the Liver building, Am Street Station, and at Tobacco Dock. We also were working with the guys in New Brighton and Dan Davis, who had projections and posters all around New Brighton. And other stunts went on, like Fred, who did the thing down at the speech with the impression of Keir Starmer. And what we were doing as well was giving out flyers, and we organised a rally and a protest with farmers and with loads of people saying no to digital ID, which got a lot of attention and engaged with a lot of people who were attending the conference, and also lots of people in the Northwest who were there and sort of explaining and why it was that we're so opposed to digital ID, and so many of them agreed with us. One of the funniest bits was when Everton football match was on, and all the footy fans were going past at the projections and cheering and taking photos.
Very powerful. And I don't know about you, Ellen, but I thought we'd reached sort of peak satire when the imprint on the sand had a police car pull up to work out what was going on. There was the state to police a sandcastle. Like, you literally couldn't write it, could you? Now listen, the government are probably going to still try and push this through. What methods do you think they're going to use next? Because the idea that it would stop illegal migration is just frankly dissolved.
Yeah, so Keir Starmer's recognised that the it will stop the boats argument has fallen completely, and it's just ridiculed. So at his speech at the party conference, he said, we're going to have NHS digital. That's the big idea. And what it's going to do is it's going to reduce waiting times, and it's going to get you to a GP no matter where you are around the country. But of course, we know
convenience.
That's another spin, because the issue of not enough GPs and not enough time, and the issue with A&E, and the issue of too many bureaucrats and not enough frontline staff, but also a lack of efficiency, and the big question of what is to be done with healthcare in Britain, and whether we should have more of a mixed approach to it like they have on the continent in Europe. These things are not going to get resolved by a digital ID. And the big concerns, of course, with the health digital ID is what we've seen already when there was an attempt to impose a mandate for jabs for people who'd been working on the front line, 100,000 NHS staff. We'd already lost 45,000 care workers from it. The idea that we have a biometric state with a digital ID which nudges and forces and coerces people, it's unacceptable.
Yeah, it is. And I think they will keep trying all sorts of methods. So you've got to stay vigilant, Alan Miller. I know you always do. Thank you so much for joining GB News. And
Yeah, man. So, yeah, I can close there. It's right. The serpent is more subtle than any beast of the field. So he can come in some method, some form, but it will happen. Because the scriptures can't lie. The scriptures say he will cause all. You understand? But there are some that will refuse, that will not bow to this system. That some is the elect. Revelation 3 verse 10. I know their words. Revelation 3 verse 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. It shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So the elect, Lord is going to protect them from the hour of temptation. And that is when the charagma, that's the Greek word for the word mark in Revelation 13 and 16, when that guy is mandated, right? And under the threat of death, you know what I mean? Because that's the way it come to. Is that? Under the threat of death, you take it, or you can be put to death. Because we are entering into totalitarian society, brother. You see? So the Lord is going to protect his elect in that day. Shalom.